On approaching, he noticed the rock had pierced the poster, making a hole. He instantly sensed it wasn't simple. He quickly reached in and yanked the poster down, revealing a massive hole in the wall that seemed to lead right outside the prison. Everyone was dumbfounded. When did this guy dig such a secret tunnel? Shortly after, Eugene began a mass search with police dogs, only to find a barely usable hammer and an old, ragged jersey after hours of toil. Eugene could hardly believe it. A solo man with just a tiny hammer managed to dig this long tunnel. The tunneler aimed to etch his name on the wall, but found the plaster easily chipped away. With a passion for geology, he quickly figured out the key issue. Turns out, the prison hadn't been maintained for ages, and the cement on the walls was in a sorry state. He realized it was a golden opportunity from above. Whenever he could, he would chip away at the wall. The wall poster was his disguise. He quietly dumped chipped cement while looking up a 2-for-1 deal. The hammer was procured by his buddy Red, a true veteran who'd been in prison for 2 decades. Aside from Eugene's keys, he could get his hands on just about anything. However, he couldn't escape the prison's surprise inspections. He knew if this secret got out, it would be game over. To avoid suspicion, he pretended to read a book. When the warden came in with the guards, he did his best to cooperate and not show his anxiety. Eugene rummaged through everything, even checking every nook and cranny of the chairs, leaving the man to silently pray that the poster wouldn't get ripped off. In the end, they searched for hours with no sign of trouble. Suddenly, the silent warden walked in, took the Bible from the man's hands, and conveniently, he too was a fan of reading the Bible, making him quite pleased with the man's responses. Even though the prison rules prohibited inmates from hanging posters, he made an exception and left the poster alone, returning the Bible to the man and claiming the path to redemption. Little did they know, he used that Bible to hide his hammer, which was indeed his path to redemption. This man was a banker, sentenced to life for the alleged murders of his wife and her lover, but he was actually innocent. That day, he was so drunk he just wanted to scare them, but after a long hesitation, he couldn't bring himself to do it. He didn't want to commit a crime, so drove home, tossing the gun in the river. Next day, his wife and lover were killed with a revolver. The judge took this as proof of his guilt, sending him to Shawshank prison. Whenever new inmates arrived, the old-timers would bet on who would cry first. At first, Red wasn't optimistic about this man, thinking he looked too frail to last, while the others thought the chubby guy would be the first to crack. Surrounded by the old-timers' predatory stares and their drool-worthy expressions, he couldn't bear to imagine a lifetime in this place. After all the newcomers arrived, Red began to lay down the rules. Just then, one inmate suddenly asked when they would eat. He didn't respond, but signaled to the captain of the guards beside him, stating, "Remember to inform us when you are eating, as it's your meal time." The rule was outrageously blunt, sending the whole room into fits of laughter. Innocent but belongs to me. Newcomers knew well their lives belonged to Shawshank prison when the iron door shut. To win this bet, Red's companions began employing violent intimidation tactics against the chubby guy. "Let me inform you who's the boss around here. I'll ensure you feel completely at home. We got a lady here," he threatened with a smirk. "I don't belong here." The chubby guy really couldn't take it anymore and started crying for home. The ruckus triggered alarms, and by the time the guards arrived, the chubby guy was in full meltdown, begging to be sent home. In the end, he was brutally dragged away and received quite an unwelcome lesson from the captain. The onlookers started pleading for him, but it didn't change a thing. The chubby guy just lay there, motionless. The captain ordered him sent to the infirmary, warning the other inmates that if they didn't quiet down, they'd end up like him. But when they finally sent him there, the doctor had already clocked out. He lay there until sunrise, and when the doctor arrived, it was already too late. The inmate who scared him was in shock, unable to speak, realizing that his gamble had cost someone their life. However, in here, an inmate's life doesn't matter. People go on as usual, hardly remembering him. Meanwhile, the man soon found himself in a pickle when a certain inmate took a liking to him. He had no choice but to turn and walk away, but the other guy had no intentions of letting him off easy. One day, while working in the laundry room, he was called by a co-worker to fetch some bleach from the supply room. He agreed instantly, but as he reached for the stuff, the gay inmate appeared with 2 others. Known as the Sisters of Shawshank, he realized he was in trouble and quickly reached for bleach. But before he could make a move, one of them caught him from behind. The outcome was predictable. He was no match for them and could only submit as they unbuckled his belt, ushering in a humiliating chapter of his life. In the days that followed, the sisters would visit him regularly, leaving him battered and bruised. At this rate, he won't last long. But in spring of the third year, a breakthrough came. The prison roofs needed repairs, and they were calling for 10 inmates to get the job done. The inmates knew that special jobs led to special perks, and everyone was itching to get in on it. But the spots were extremely limited, which didn't pose a problem at all for the experienced threat. He easily bribed Eugene with a few packs of cigarettes to successfully help his buddies secure those precious spots. Naturally, the poor guy too, knowing his plight, wanted to help. At least during the repairs, the sisters wouldn't bother him. This was a golden opportunity. Waiting for him would be the chance to turn his life around if he could dodge the brainwash. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.